integrated in the story in Gothic 3. The Gothic 3 developers explained the lack of women by technical difficulties with the graphic engine and problems with time management during game development. One of them wrote in the World of Gothic forum that the graphic engine could not cope with the long dresses and complex hairstyles of the female models. Compensatory masculinity. As I've already mentioned, the author makes a point about how choosing the gender of the player is not possible in Gothic. She then goes on to pointing that it is not possible in many games, but for the games it is possible. McCallum Stewart found out by interviewing various people that many male players choose female characters but try really hard to prove their own heterosexuality. Third question then, have you ever chosen a character of the opposite sex when you were given a choice? And if so, by doing this, are you a homosexual? Homophobia in an asexual society. The author notes that apart from a brothel scene she mentions earlier, the game developers do not refer to sexuality for the entire game. Regardless of the realistic approach, it seems that the developers did not want to approach the subject of sex, but due to the brothel scene, it is apparent that the character that you play is heterosexual, as he can have his pleasure and only for a cheap price of 50 gold coins. The author notes for a game called SimCopter that was around at 1996, a programmer made a few references toward homosexuality. Interestingly enough, he was immediately fired by Maxis, the game producers. Although the protagonist is heterosexual, gay characters do pop up in the world of Gothic. The author mentions a male character called Mud that appears in the first game of the series. Apparently he follows the player around, annoying the crap out of him and being a thorn in his side. The author says that killing him is easy and probably recommended thanks to his poor fighting skills and ability to be in the way. Even ever had that feeling? Of course, this could be implying that gays are always a pain in the arse, but it could also be to provide a great challenge toward the player, or even to see if their morals are high enough to keep Mud by his side throughout the whole game. Conclusion. For the conclusion, the author mentions a point that I pointed out earlier, which is all RPGs cannot be based on just one, but she mentions that it is a small contribution to making all games driven by stereotypes. I think that this is a fair point, and naturally it's usually intended by the scriptwriter. To take manga for example, the characters are usually based on stereotypes. To be more specific, take Naruto by Masashi Kishimoto. The hero of the story is very energy-filled and open knucklehead that is not afraid to show his feelings regardless of the situation, but the element that keeps us most interested in the media itself is the ability that a character has to momentarily jump out of the stereotypes and show the true qualities of a hero or a villain. This makes us eagerly anticipate the next time that they will do the same, and therefore we carry on reading. The author says that in Gothic 1 the female characters are virtually non-existent and are used as trading goods or slaves. During the course of the series, however, they evolve from that to being implemented in the actual narrative, and then to being interactive and able to make decisions. She also thinks that Mud is not only portrayed as possibly gay, as if that wasn't bad enough, but is made to be a very negative aspect of the game, and regardless of whether you mind his gay remarks or not, he is still a necessary element if you want to lose, that is. She finishes by stating, Gothic 3 is a step backward into the male-dominated society of the first part. Obviously, the all-male developer team of Piranha Bytes didn't expand much effort in including female characters in the game. Paragraph 6, page 252. Having played through the first part of the demo, as you can probably tell, I must say that I agree, as there are no female characters to be seen during the front part of the game itself, unless of course one of the orcs are female, but then again you wouldn't be able to tell. Final point she makes is that the game is neither an adequate implementation of fictional medieval society, nor an outright representation of any living society at all. This point is very debatable. The game developers have a right to use their own stories, just as any other media producers. Just because there was not a realistic amount of women in the game world does not necessarily imply that a whole team of developers are feminist. And then again, you cannot judge anyone's creativity based on realism, or that would kind of kill the point. But I do realize that the game was advertised as the most realistic, ... Therefore the author probably does have a right to criticize. The last question I want to pose is, what does the following quote mean to you, and do you think it is true? Altogether, by the interactions in the game society and the portrayal of characters, sexual division of labor, traditional gender roles and compulsory heterosexuality are not challenged but affirmed by the Gothic series. Paragraph Paragraph 2, page 253.